guys. Well, awesome. I'm so excited you guys are all here. Thank you for your time. And let's dig into it. So basically, welcome. It is our June 2023 industry update. I'm super excited to provide this to you guys on a regular basis. Hopefully it's super helpful and can just keep you on the up and up with what's happening in the industry. The theme of today is future-proofing your business. And I know I've seen lots of talk just around the real estate world about thinking about what's coming up in the market, what can we expect, what do we tell our clients? And so I'm just super excited about what we're going to talk about today. I got really lucky and got access to a bunch of the stuff that Gary shared with his top 200 agents in the top 200 Mastermind. For those of y'all that don't know, in order to even get access to that, it's I think the minimum to qualify is 1.7 or 1.8 million in GCI. So this mastermind is with the top producers in our business. So lots of really powerful ideas going around. So we're going to go over some stats. We're going to talk about market stats nationally. And then I'm also going to go, oh, yay, it pops up and tells me there's people in the waiting room, so we don't miss people. Woohoo. Okay, cool. So we're going to go over some tools, and I'm going to give you an example that you can apply directly to your business. You can feel free to take screenshots of those as you want to, as we go through, and then I'll also be happy to send you the actual printable document that you can use for your business as well. But yeah, I'm really excited to dig into everything. So let's get going. And this is, I wonder if I can move these faces so I can see better. Oh, there it goes. Okay, cool. Okay, so perspective gives you hope. Oh, I think I've got everybody in now. Thank you so much. Yes, I think everybody's in now. So that was so helpful. I had someone pop in the office to tell me people were in the waiting room here. So glad you guys are here now. So anyways, I just wanted to share this because this is one thing that excites me about what we're going to talk about today, because perspective gives you hope, right? If you think about anything in your life, perspective comes from exposure. It comes from experience in our life, data, and then the actual knowledge. And the goal of this today is that the perspective that I'm going to share with you is going to allow you to use the past as a predictor for the future, and hopefully it will empower you. And then it'll also give you perspective that you can give to your clients to empower them as well. Things are changing so fast in the market. I'm sure you guys can all relate to that. And so because they are changing so fast, I feel like it's really important to stay focused on that, especially because they are predicting that we should see some sort of slowdown in the industry around the fall, around September time. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. And by the way, feel free to put questions in the chat as well, and I'll look at those here in just as we go along. Oh my goodness, I didn't think I was like this technologically. I feel like I'm pretty good with technology. There we go. Woohoo. Okay, so I want to hear from you guys really quickly. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say just in general. If you want to post in the chat how the market has been for you. Is it slower? Do you feel like it's busy? Is it normalizing, steady? What are you guys seeing? And is there any particular market that you're in, any particular, city that you work primarily in, or things like that? And I'm going to pull this up on my phone as well, just so that I can see, in case I can't see the chat while I'm screen sharing. Okay, I'm just checking the chat this way because I can't see it. I don't know why. I'll get better at this. Okay. Okay, I'm seeing steady. We work mostly in York County and Belmont. Steady, depending on price point and multiple bids. Anybody else? You can put it in the chat if you're seeing anything in particular that you want to share. I know it's been really interesting. I was actually talking with a $50 million producer earlier this morning who works primarily in the South Charlotte area. And he was actually talking about even working with $2 million buyers that can't win, bidding wars and all of those sorts of things. So it's an interesting market. We were saying that it feels like slow and fast, like hot and cold at the same time almost. Steady, not as many people actively looking, but the ones looking are serious. Awesome. Slow and steady. Okay, cool. So lots of slow and steady, lots of sounds like just continuing along. So that's good to hear. Okay, cool. I'll go back to my screen share. Cool. Okay, we're back. So let's talk about some magic numbers that are going to be really important. I really want to encourage you, jot these down. These are your magic numbers that you want to know, basically, like at all times when you're looking at the market. So GDP, inflation, real estate appreciation, and unemployment, those are pretty much like the main things that we want to keep our finger on the pulse of so that we can really see what's happening. So 2246, those are like the goals, if that makes sense. The goal is that GDP is at 2%, inflation is at 2%, real estate appreciation is at 4%, and unemployment is below 6%. And if we can get those numbers, like typically when you're at those numbers, everything is happy and everything is smooth and everything is good. And when it's not, that's when we get out of whack and that's when there's a problem. Current inflation, I was just looking this up the other day and it looks like we're sitting at right around 4%, which is a big improvement. Again, a couple months ago in April, we were up at like 6% with the inflation rate and it's eased down over the last couple months. So that's good, although it's still high. And of course, there's still a problem with producing enough product to keep up with demand, really everywhere, right? Not just in real estate, but food, like all sorts of things, right? So those are things that are always important to keep an eye on. So we're going to dig into some slides now of some actual stats and data. This came from NAR, a combination of NAR and Gary Keller's or Keller Williams research team. So really great things to look at. So the first thing we'll look at is unemployment annually. These are all things basically that affect the 2246 that I was just talking about that are great to be aware of. So this gives you a picture of what unemployment has looked like annually over the decades. So you can see in the end of 2022, we were at 3.6. April 2023, unemployment was at 3.4. Generally, we want unemployment to be below 6. So that's really good. If you go back, and this will show you like the monthly unemployment of what those numbers look like monthly overall. So that's that 3.4 that I was just talking about with April 2023. So we've gone way down. Obviously, we had a huge spike April 2020, as we all know how 2020 was. But the positive is that that has continued to go down, 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 down. And this level of unemployment is like amazing, really, in the scheme of things. Not that it's non-existent, but there's basically more jobs out there than there are people applying for them. So that's a good thing for us. Now, I love this slide. If you look at this, job openings versus unemployment monthly. Let me just admit that person to the thing. Job openings versus unemployment monthly. So the orange line that you guys are seeing there, that's the job openings in the millions. And then the blue number is the number of unemployed people in the millions. So this kind of goes to what I was just alluding to. If you go back and look right here at 2020, you can see nearly 21 million people were unemployed. Now, this is March right here, but obviously it's gone down since then. But now in March, it was only 5.84 unemployed. Now in the threes, 3.4 million unemployed. And it's really cool. What I love about this is looking at the comparison between these two, right? Because it's not that just that the unemployment rate is high, but also there's 9.6 million job openings. So that's huge. There's tons of opportunity for those people that don't want to be unemployed. So that is really fantastic when it comes to lending and, opportunities for people, so on and so forth. And I also want to say one thing before I move on from this. If anybody wants the link for this, I'll send it to you. Let me know. But I listened to a podcast the other day from Tony Robbins and Ed Milet. It was actually recorded back in January, the last time Tony Robbins was on his podcast, but it was really interesting. And they're actually talking about, so Tony Robbins was sharing about how over the next 5 years, because of AI, how many millions of people are going to be unemployed because AI is basically taking over their job, which is crazy to think about, but it's the reality that we're living in today. Specifically, he made an example about Uber drivers, Lyft drivers, taxi drivers, and semi-truck drivers, tractor trailers. 5 5 million jobs in those industries are projected to be completely taken over by AI in the next 5 to 7 years. So it's really crazy to think about, and just when you're thinking about planning for the future, and the reality that, our mind, tech skills, relationship skills, those are all the things that are going to end up coming in the most demand when it comes to us for jobs and work, and what we bring as value, to clients and so forth. So just good to know. But that's what you guys are looking at there. This shows you your GDP quarterly. So, of course, this shows you through Q1, 2023. So right now you can see we're at a really low number, which is great. Q1 ended at 1.1 GDP. That's a percentage. You'll see, so technically, this is just fun fact, technically what is deemed a recession is when you have 2 quarters back to back with negative GDP. So you'll see that did happen right here in the fall of 2022. That technically is when what would have been deemed a recession. That's not happening now, although it is low. So that's good to know. As far as that goes, if anybody's asked, are we in a recession? Technically, no, we're on the up. So that's good. Inflation. So this, of course, I think is probably the hot topic for a lot of us, with our clients, with ourselves, everybody, because inflation has been a beast. And this shows you the annual inflation. The reason there's 2 lines, so the purple dash line right there, that purple dash is the target. That's where you want inflation to be, at or below 2%. Then you have the yellow line, the yellowy orange line is inflation rates, including energy and food. And then the blue line is inflation rates, excluding energy and food. That is because the reason they look differently is because of how deeply energy and food affect people in particular. If you think about it, any middle class or below household, gas and food are probably the 2 biggest impacts that they feel around inflation. So it's important to kind of see how that correlates. So the goal here, when we get, so when you're looking at interest rates, it's not inflation rates, but interest rates, when you get interest rates to hang out around 5.5% or 5%, historically, that typically is when both buyers and sellers typically will come back to the market and say, like, okay, this is normal. We feel good, comfortable to buy or sell. Obviously, we're dealing with a little bit of sticker shock right now because so many people got used to 2 and 3% interest rates. That's just something we're never going to see again in our lifetime, right? But if we can get our interest rates to sit and be consistent around that 5 number, typically that is when people will adjust to the new norm. As far as inflation goes, you can see we're right now, as far as, because this is going through 2024, if you guys look at the bottom, right now we're actually hanging out right at about 4% inflation. It's still high. They are predicting that to course correct and be back in alignment, but they're not predicting that it'll get back in alignment and course correct really until mid to the end of 2024, which is why you see that 2% right there. So it is important to stay mindful of. As far as inflation monthly goes, this will give you a really great projector through beginning of May, end of April for annual or monthly inflation. As you can see, it's still higher than we'd like. Inflation, like I kind of was just alluding to with the 5.5 interest rate that I was talking about, like inflation will drive your interest rates. That's why it's really important for our industry to be aware of, besides things just being expensive, right? And so for anybody that's not super, you don't feel like super, like this is not your wheelhouse, what that all means is basically they will keep rates high, interest rate wise, typically, and basically until people stop spending money because they need to slow inflation in order to help our economy. And so that's why, what you're kind of feeling right now. So we need to get that average back to around the 5.5% rate on interest rates in order for people to feel good. So that's just kind of to give you some food for thought there. So home sales annually. So this shows you annual home sales all the way from 1990 on through. So you can see the trend line typically of our annual in the millions, how much home sales have been each year and like just where we're at. You can see for 2022, we're actually like kind of right on the trend for what's normal. I think it's really good to go look here too, just for comparison purposes. If you go look at that year period here between 02 and 06, you'll see sales, total home sales between 02 and 06 were 32.2 million. And then you'll see the same thing over here, right? Between 18 and 22, that home sales there totaled 27.3 million. So of course, there's a correlation between those two time periods. You guys all know what happened in 2008. So question that I think we can all ask ourselves, and you guys can ask this in the chat if you want, or answer this in the chat. Why did sales come to such a huge recession back then compared to today? Like, why are people not predicting that the same thing's going to happen again? You know, we're experiencing a shift right now, obviously, but it's not likely going to be the type of huge recession that we had before in 2008. So what do people have now that they didn't have then? And I'll go to the chat real quick so I can see it and see what you guys say. Yep, lending guidelines, regulations, lending guidelines, stronger, better qualified buyers, student loans. These are all great. Any other thoughts? Appraisal regulations, so homes are truly worth what someone actually paid. Amen, sister. No stated income loans. Yep, these are all really good. So they're really good and really true. One of the biggest ones that I will add to that is equity. It's a huge, huge difference now. That's saving grace, I think, for all of us. Oh, look, I can see the chat. Oh my gosh, I've been making things hard. Yeah, if we follow this time, it won't be on the back of the real estate industry. That's very true. Yeah, so it's equity. So it is really giving people that are homeowners way more security from being upside down in their homes, because people have more equity now than they really ever have. And it gives people a lot more financial leverage. So that's definitely a piece of it. And everything you guys said in the chat is absolutely true as well. So you guys are so smart. I love it. Okay, so that shows you your home sales monthly. Now annually, let's look at home sales monthly. This shows you for the beginning of 2023. So you'll see these like blue purpley bars is 2022. The yellow orange is 2023. They'll have this April out probably in the next couple weeks, but I wanted to go ahead and show this to you anyways. So that shows you what the home sales monthly have been. We're trending slightly down, but not something crazy. You can see in 2022, we closed with about 5 million homes sold, and projecting for 2023 right now, they are projecting about between 4.2 and 4.5 million homes sold, to give you kind of an expectation. So what's really important to think about with that is like, that is a drastic difference. If you go back and look here at 2021, we had 6.1 million homes sold in 2021. So what is happening right now, I think for a lot of realtors, it's super important to think about is we're all comparing our businesses to what business was like, or if you're newer in the industry, what you saw then in 2021 when 6.1 million homes sold, which is way more than a normal year. It was like a unicorn. And so we are trending down. And I think generally that means we all need to have kind of like a mindset adjustment, and not to be a negative about it. I think it's super important to have a positive outlook and be empowered that the work you do every day is going to control the outcome that you have in business. And no matter what the economy looks like, there's still going to be homes sold every single day. It just, you can decide if it's going to be sold by you or someone else, right? So with that being said, it's still important that, like, even though a lot of us are still busy, and we're so blessed that if you're local to me, we're in the Charlotte market, and 100 people move here a day. So we have been hit way less than a lot of other places. Fun fact, did you know there's a brokerage in California? There's 500 agents in, and they are having about 20 closings a month. So we have so much to be grateful for, because that's wild. But it's just important to know the numbers don't lie, and we need to be aware that generally the market is trending downward this year. We probably, will have less home sales this year than last year. And that's okay. We just have to take personal responsibility for what market share we're each going to take, right? Okay, so let's look at home prices annually. So again, this shows you home prices annually from 1990 on through. What's interesting too is you can see, let me move I don't know if my face is getting in the way of this graph. So you can see that we've had a continual upward trend. That blue line is the long-term trend of kind of like where we should be quote unquote. And then you'll see we're obviously slightly above that. They're actually right now, nationally, they're not seeing a lot of appreciation for this quarter. Things are kind of flat and staying the same. So although we're a smidge over the trend, we're projected to end 2023 with a national average nationally of about 382,000. So we are trending a little bit higher, but not anything like crazy per se. So kind of right on pace there. Oops. Click. There we go. Home prices monthly. Okay, so this is another, in case you get overwhelmed by the colors, you're looking at the dark blue is 2021, that light teal blue is 2022, and that pink purple is 2023. This is your median home prices in the thousands monthly. If you follow a lot of experts, including Gary Keller, Lawrence Yoon, who's head of NAR, etc., September is what they're saying, that's the time that they think we're going to see home prices and home sales drastically shift. Again, it'll be different in different areas of the country. You're going to feel that way different than other areas of the country, but super important to be aware of. And you can see how those numbers are looking. There's two things that they're saying can really come into play with that. Why September? Why the fall? And one is that student loans. So interesting thing to know about, but there are millions, maybe even billions of dollars of debt, student loan debt that's been deferred. And there's voting that's coming up, coming back, at least to like, they're voting on like, are they going to enforce partial payments or what is that going to look like? And generally speaking, that is something that will affect us because of course, that income that affects first-time home buyers. So that'll decrease the amount of first-time home buyers that are in the market. And then of course that, then those first-time home buyers moving back in with their parents to save money. And then that's pressing on the parents. And between the student loan debt and the medical debt, that's what most researchers are saying are the two largest spikes in our country. Gary Keller actually said recently at he was just having kind of a frank conversation about this. And he said, gosh, if you're elderly and have kids in college or living at home with you and that sort of stuff, you're like double hidden from both sides because you're getting hit with the medical bills and the student loan debt. So those are the big things that could change right now that could affect the market. And then the other thing, which honestly, I don't know tons about other than that it's a thing, so I won't act like I'm an expert in it, but BRICS, which is like this currency thing. I don't know if any of y'all know a lot about it, but it's like BRICS and it has to do with like foreign currency. Don't know a lot, but I do know that, and that it'll affect us. So let me know if any of y'all know an expert on that and I'll get some more research for you, but BRICS is something to be paying attention to. And also I do want to say also, speaking of like just like inventory and home prices and all that stuff, it's also important to realize right now we really have not experience the normal seasonality in the business that you normally would see. Like in the last 3 years, it's just been crazy all the time, right? And unpredictable. Any of you guys that have been in the business for longer than 3-4 years, you know that it's super normal to have, a really hot spring market and then a summer slowdown around July when people go on vacation, and then things pick back up in early fall and then slow back down around November and Christmas. And it's super normal to have seasonality in the real estate industry. And so I do think that part of this all is just showing that we're going to see seasonality coming back likely, which is not necessarily a bad thing, right? It just is the kind of like coming back to normalcy. So anyways, this shows you inventory overall compared yearly. Obviously inventory is still low. A healthy market is 6 months of inventory is a healthy balanced market. So we're still way low nationally on inventory, even though we're higher than last year. All right, home prices monthly. Oops, did I go backwards? Sorry guys, wrong way. Mortgage rates annually. Okay, so let's talk about mortgage rates. This is a sheet I really want to encourage you. And if you guys don't have access to it, let me know. I'll just email this to you. But I would encourage you, have this exact sheet printed out and laminated and just like take it with you on all your appointments, share it everywhere. It is an awesome tool to give your clients perspective, especially when interest rates get crazy and people, I'm sure we can all relate that people are just kind of more they're very interest rate sensitive. They're very payment sensitive right now. And, you know, I feel like the market right now feels like, you know, it's almost like day to day, week to week, right? One day things are great. The next day, everyone freaks out. So this is a really helpful tool to help empower you and your clients. So you'll see the historical average from 1972 to 21 is 7.81% is the historical average for mortgage rates. Then 1990 to 21, the historical average is 5.97. So obviously it's important that we use this to help our clients see and just like have, you know, lack of a better way to say it, a little come to Jesus moment that they're probably never going to see 3% interest rates again in our lifetime. And it is okay. And it's still a great time to be a homeowner. And this is just a great example of why we want to see those rates steady out, just to help people feel more comfortable. And also, who's excited that, you know, none of us are seeing this over here, right? Like 16%, ain't nobody wanting that. So I'm happy about that. So that's that. Okay. New home. Oh, and this is the mortgage rates monthly. So you guys can see, and I know I touched on this a little bit earlier, of what rates have been looking like right now. They're generally, I find as I check them like daily, they seem to be sitting right around 6, 6.5, 6.8, etc. If you guys are seeing different, put it in the chat. But yeah, so that's what you're seeing monthly for mortgage rates. Okay, so new home starts. So as of March 2023, this is monthly numbers, there was 861,000 new home starts, and about the same moving forward. So you can see that dashing line is your long-term average of basically meaning like how many new home starts we need each year to support population and development and growth and all those things. So you can see for a long time, you know, we've been below that number, which, and also over here back in 2020. So we've got lots of catching up to do. The great thing about this, so I don't know if you guys knew this, but to give you a total perspective on this, we're about 2.5 million homes short that were never built. So that's why it's like this catch-up game, why inventory remains low and why it's just challenging market in that way, because we are 2.5 million homes short of the amount of homes that we actually need to support population growth, people moving, etc. So new construction should definitely be alive and well. They project at least for the next 3 to 4 years. And this is something to be mindful of too, as an agent, that this is a great opportunity. One of the biggest opportunities that all realtors have right now is to bring new construction to the market, because it is a huge need, whether that means tracking land, lots, talking to builders, partnerships, etc. That is a place that you can really wrap your hands around and be powerful in, because it's a huge need and it's not going to be going away anytime soon. Okay, so let's talk about risks. So these are probably the two biggest risks that we face in our economy right now when it comes to the real estate world. And obviously these are ongoing, but just great to be aware of. US default on public debt obviously is a risk. That would be a massive problem. It would have consequences extending through the US economy and likely beyond. Interest rates would spike. I think somebody just entered the waiting room. How do I get to, there it is. Interest rates would spike as the likelihood of default increases. Even if default is short-lived, it would likely have lingering effects in the form of continued higher rates on US debt, which would increase the cost of borrowing for all consumers. So that's important to be aware of and follow. And then further financial market turmoil, you know, I don't know if you guys knew this, but a third major bank failure did occur. First Republic Bank was taken over by JP Morgan. It was largely a result of deposit outflows, which occurred during the failure of Silicon Valley Bank, which we all heard about, SVB. And, you know, that's just like a chain reaction, but it's just important to be aware of as things like that happen. We need to be aware of how to protect ourselves and our clients, and they will obviously have an impact on the economy. Okay, so all in all, as far as the industry update goes, what I really want to encourage you guys with in this is use this knowledge to share it with your clients, interpret it for them. And it's just really to be a tool. Remember perspective. The more perspective that you have, the more you can empower yourself, empower your clients, and help you work strategically and help your clients buy and sell strategically as well. So I hope that was helpful to you guys. And now we're going to get into the value add of today's Zoom beyond just the update on the industry. And that is future-proofing your business with value and models that you need to win. So I'm really excited. I'm going to be sharing with you guys the one pager that is direct from Gary Keller's mastermind with our top 200 agents. And I'm also going to go over 4 real life case studies that they talked about during the mastermind to work through with your business personally. And they're all from high producing GCI teams. So you can take those examples and just kind of like ask yourself, look at your own business and look for the commonalities and poke holes in your business, right? Like, where are the ways that I can get better? And then this is actually a worksheet. So feel free to take screenshots of the worksheet if you want, or I can email it to you. Either way. But I would definitely recommend everyone needs to take the worksheet and fill it out for your business personally to future-proof your business so that you can be intentional, because the people that are going to win in this market and really any market are the people that do it on purpose, right? Like the last couple of years, I think allowed some accidental success for sure, right? Where there's no planning and we're just flying by the seat of our pants and we're just making it work. And when things shift, it's super important to be on purpose. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so this is the worksheet. Like I said, you can take a screenshot. I'll also send it out as well. But you want to reflect on these 4 areas, most important. In order to thrive, what's my value to my customers? What's my value to agents? What are my primary lead generation levers? And what does my org chart look like? It's different for everybody. Do you need to build a big, massive mega team in order to be successful? Absolutely not. In fact, I really love that in some of the new org chart models that have been developed through Keller Williams in the last couple of years, there's actually an amazing model that allows you to be an MREA agent, meaning earning $1 million plus a year in GCI as an individual agent with a great support team around you. So there's a lot of different things when you see org chart. Just know that you get to define what that looks like. And if you need help with that, I can sit down and go over a lot of the different formats and what could work for you. So, but we're going to get into the value. And I think generally it's all about quality of what you're offering to your clients and then the frequency that you're in front of them. So let's look at some case studies so you can see some real life examples. So case study number 1 is the Christian group. Their 2022 stats. 66 million in closed volume, $66,760,801 to be specific, closed volume, total gross commission, 1.6 million in GCI, and they netted $533,666. So that's the first one. Here is what their sheet looked like based on what we just talked about. So you can see for them, their value to the customers was their level of care and attention to detail paid to each client's home and buying process. So all sorts of things, get more money for your home using our home selling system, come from contribution, always do the right thing, clients first, authenticity, curiosity, learning, growth, mindset of abundance, community, presentation, impact, fun, and celebration. Their value to their agents is powerful community reputation. They have 35% market share. Agents get all the sign and buyer leads and supporting from listing, escrow, et cetera, with client care coordinator. Their primary lead generation levers were geographic farming and past clients in order to develop that level of business. And you can see that's what their org chart looks like down there. So they've got a rainmaker, a listing agent, a buying agent, and that's it. And then the other is just is admin, a listing coordinator, escrow coordinator, and client care coordinator. So that's what their business looked like. All right, case study number 2 is the Posette Group, which you guys may have heard about him at Family Reunion. If you guys don't know, Ken has a very large business. As you can see, he left KW for 7 months and then came back because he realized that 23% of his business actually came from agent to agent referrals. And it's pretty exciting. He's back, and this year his business is actually up 18%. So that's his 2022 stats, 198 million in closed volume, 5.3 million in gross commissioned income, and 1.9 million net. So what did he do to have almost 200 million in closed volume, 5.3 in GCI, and 1.9 take home net income? His team's value to their customers. Ken and his team know everything there is to know about Orlando. They created a media company specifically about Orlando to support his clients by being active in providing community information. So Ken actually has a really prominent YouTube channel. I would highly recommend, if you want to build your business through social media, go check out his YouTube channel because it is powerful and he gets a massive amount of business from that. So value to agents that they offer, culture, helping each other and encourage personal development. They provide support, of course, transaction coordination, ISAs, et cetera. and productivity driven. They use all the things like scoreboards, Slack. If you guys don't know Slack, it's like a really cool like productivity tool you can use. Production standards to get leads, weekly office meetings, pods of agents to support and encourage each other, leads if agents are meeting production goals. Their primary lead generation levers for their business are social media, relocation, and KW agent referrals. And you see his org chart is a little bit more complex. So you've got Ken, who's the CEO, and then you'll see pod leaders. Each pod leader has their own group of agents, as you see down here, a whole marketing department, and this is an ISA and transaction coordination department. So that's another example of what that looks like to develop that type of business. All right, case study number 3 was the Rosie Rourke team. Their 2022 stats, 118 million in closed volume, 1.882 in GCI million, and 838,383 in net income. So the Rosie Rourke group, what theirs looked like, their value to their customers was 2 things, mission and vision. Their vision was to create impactful relationships with everyone we touch by actively engaging with our community to find the win-win, provide service that's second to none, and protect our clients' long-term wealth by helping them make wise decisions in their real estate transactions. Their value to agents, weekly coaching, lead gen. They have a really, this is interesting, just good to think about. They have an 85 touch drip campaign. I'll touch on that in a little bit, but the drip campaign is, if you're not doing at least a 36 touch drip campaign, like ask yourself, why am I not? And then make a plan too, because a lot of these teams are doing as much as like 200 touch drip campaigns for their database. So it really, that has increased a lot. And then of course they're providing professional personal growth, office space, transaction coordination, operations support. Their lead generation levers, sphere of influence, and past clients again. And you can see her org chart and how that's built out. So again, you've got the director of operations, a whole operations team, transaction coordinator and listing manager over here. And then she's got a director of sales, listing agent with one listing buyer agent, a buyer agent, and a showing assistant. So they keep that relatively simple or lean, I guess you would say, when it comes to agents as well. Case study number 4. I did not plan this. It just happened to be that they use our very own Stacey Sauls as a case study during the mastermind. So woo, Stacey Sauls. So their stats, 2022, 182 million in total closed volume, total gross commission income, 2.7 million, and net income was 1.9 million. Oopsies. Oh no, hold on. Stacey Sauls group, you can see their value to their customers is their core values represent their promise to both their team and client community. So they focus on referrals, radical candor, resourcefulness, and run towards the roar, which means think outside the box, never back down, always deliver to their clients and team. Their value to their agents, they do use Slack for internal communication, culture of production, accountability meetings, team meetings, and executive meetings. So a lot of accountability there and a culture of production. Their primary lead generation lever is sphere of influence. And you'll see there's Stacey. She is basically still, if I am correct, I believe Stacey still is, actively working with the team as far as like leads and all of that sort of stuff. Then you've got your director of sales over here, director of operations with your listing, transaction coordinating, marketing support, all that here. And then they've got a team of 10 listing and buyers agents. So that's what their team looks like. So what does this mean for you? How do we future-proof your business based on that? After you answer those questions and kind of reflect, what I think is really interesting is every single one of those case studies talked about their sphere of influence and their database was one of their key lead gen levers to building those massive businesses that are also massively profitable. And so that's what we're going to talk about, is how to future-proof your business with your database in order to win. And I want you to think about it like this, if the projections and researchers are right, and let's say they're wrong. If we don't fall off a cliff in September with the market, then great, you're going to be ahead of the game. And if things do go wonky, then you're going to be prepared and you're going to be in line to win when many other agents are going to have no plan. And that's what this is about. It's to help you have a plan so that you can continue to crush it. So the first thing you want to do is we're going to do a database assessment. So step 1 thing that you need to do is do the math, determine the value, conversion, and financial opportunity of your database. What does that look like? And how do you quantify that. And we're going to talk about that. Step 2 is slow the spend, nurture the leads you have, and potentially slow your lead generation expense. Step 3, increase the quality of your SOI touches. So that's going to be a big thing that I think we've got to talk about, which is if you can increase the quality and quantity, like those are the two things, quality and quantity of the touches that your database is getting, it will pay dividends. It will pay dividends. Like I said, if you aren't doing at least a 36 touch, just ask yourself, why are you not? And then let's make a plan to make sure you're doing that, because most of the top 100 are doing from 100 to 200 times annually in their touch program. I also think it's important to make sure that it's quality touches, right? Of all the touches, ask yourself which are needed and useful and which are not. Ask yourself that question. Is this touch that I'm doing for my database needed and useful? And if it's not, how can I change that? And step 4 is inspect what you expect. Review what you're doing and how you're doing it in order to improve results. So the first thing we're going to talk about out of these 4, determine the value of your database from a cost perspective if you had to rebuild it today. And again, you'll be able to get these handouts from me so you can actually fill them out. But I'll just tell you what you're looking at here. So basically, your step 1, take the total number of contacts in your database, excluding farms and data dumps. So you're only counting real people. So example that you're seeing here, let's say there's 15,000 total contacts in your database without farms and data dumps, only real people. Then you're going to do the lead cost multiplier. How much would it cost if you had to purchase leads and contacts? So let's just say it would cost you potentially $26 a lead, right? If you're getting some from Zillow, some from realtor.com, lots of CRM, ad spend, et cetera, average out to about $26 a lead. So then what's your annual multiplier? This is basically a guess on how long your database will yield opportunities at the current rate for as long as you operate it. So contacts times your lead cost multiplier is going to give you your database value. So 15,000 contacts, $26 a lead is $390,000 worth of value within your database. Annual multiplier, how long it'll take your database to yield opportunities at the current rate. Good average number to go with is 3, which means like 3 years. And that means your asset value is 1.17 million. So maybe ask yourself, are you treating your database like the cash asset that it's worth? Like if your database was worth $1.1 million, are you treating it like that? Or are you just like ignoring it and hoping something happens? Would your calendar support your answers? Something to think about. Okay. Step 2, determine your current database total conversion rate. So what you're going to do here, database total conversion rate. You're going to take the total contacts in your database, excluding farms and excluding data dumps. Remember, you're only counting real people. And then you're going to take the number of transactions that you closed last year. And that's going to give you your conversion rate. In this example, if you had 15,000 people in your database and you closed 227 transactions, then your conversion rate is 1.5%. And then you've got to ask yourself, whatever that number ends up being for you, and it doesn't mean how many did you close? Like, don't get in the weeds about like, well, were all my closing from my database? Like, just look at, if you had 12 closings last year and you have 500 people in your database, then do the math with those 2 numbers in order to get this percentage, because it'll still work out in the same way. And then you just have to ask yourself, if 1.5%, for example, is your number, is that an acceptable conversion rate for you? If your database includes SOI, past clients, contacts you've entered randomly, leads, et cetera, it might be no, because that really should probably be more like, even if you had a whole database of random internet leads that you've never met before, that conversion rate on those leads is 1 to 3%, according to NAR. So if you're not getting more than like a 1 to 3% conversion rate, and it's people that are not random internet leads, then maybe that's something to look at of how can you improve that, because there's gold sitting in there. They're going to do business with somebody, right? Why not you? Number 3 is determine the total database financial opportunity. So total contacts in the database, excluding farms and data dumps, and then database conversion rate that you find acceptable. So we just got those numbers. So let's say you're like, okay, my conversion rate said, when I multiplied it said 1.5%. I really want it to be 4% because I feel like that feels acceptable. Then that's the number that you would put in here. And so then you're going to take your contacts, again, we'll use this example, 15,000 times what you want, which is 4%, the acceptable, and that's a really normal conversion rate, by the way, for a database. So that's a good number to go with, 4% conversion. If you do that, 15,000 times 4%, that means technically you should actually be getting 600 transactions from that database. So think about that perspective. With this team example that Gary Keller used, that team last year closed 221 units for 121 million in volume, making their average sales price $550,000. They could be closing 600 units from that same database without adding a single additional person or lead to it. If getting more closings from their database was the sole focus, it would have added, y'all, shut the front door. Do y'all see that? It would have added 379 additional closed units for an additional $208 million in volume. Holy smokes. When the team owner at the mastermind figured this out, they actually decided that this was the missing money needed to live their best life. They slowed their spend, i.e. stopped spending thousands of dollars a month on outside leads, increased the quality of their SOI touches, and inspected what they expected to get the result they knew they could. Isn't that inspiring? Like, holy crap, you literally have gold sitting in your database if you choose to work it intentionally. And I just wanted to talk about this. I thought this was great. So increase the quality of your SOI touches. This is just a great example. There's all sorts of different lead levers that you can use. This goes back to what I was saying is, are your touches needed and useful? So one of the examples of the lead of the touches that this team does is leaf bags. And obviously the leaf bags are branded with their team information on it and everything. And that I think makes a big difference because they're actually serving their community instead of just sending a postcard that's little to no value, right? It's just, the postcard is just saying, here's your market stats, call me if you need something. This is hand delivering. So this is Anna Kalinsky, just so you know. And they had 10,000 leaf bags, holy smokes, but they hand delivered 10,000 leaf bags with their name on them. And that touch brought them massive, massive success just from that one thing. So needed and useful. Are my touches needed and useful? Speaking of that, here is a list of all the unique touches that teams that were at our top 200 mastermind actually do in order to get results. Again, I can send this to you, so don't panic, but there's all sorts of things on here. And so I always recommend, like, pick things that excite you, that you would enjoy. And the most important thing to do when it comes to these unique touches is not all of them. You should be picking 1 to 2 on this list and just go all in. 1 to 2. Maybe it's a shredding party, a golf tournament, pictures with Santa, whatever the thing is that like fires you up, that you're like, I would love to do that and spend my energy on that. Then pick 1 to 2. And those should be the unique touches that you're focusing on with your sphere in your database. And there's 4 pages of them, as you can see. There's all sorts of cool ones on here. Pictures with pets. I like the hand deliver coffee to 10 people in your sphere of influence every month. Who wouldn't want their favorite coffee? Just send them a quick text, ask them what they like, and then bring it by. What a great way to like show someone that you really care. So there's another one on here. I can't remember. Where did I see it? Let's see. I can't remember. Oh, goat yoga. That's a fun one. Whatever you like, whatever you like. So lots of really great things that you can do. Oh, was that my last slide? I thought I had another one. Oh, that was the last one. Okay. So to wrap it up, guys, remember the one thing to really pay attention to, and I guess I can close this sharing now. But the one thing to really pay attention to here is that 2246. Memorize that and follow that. If you do nothing else, like that will change everything. 2246, because then you can look at the market at any time and be able to kind of predict for people what, like if things are good or not, without having to Google, are things good right now, right? You know those numbers. Track your personal home sales year over year and track your rates every day. I really feel like that makes a really big difference. And then remember the one big opportunity right now for all agents, maybe be thinking on, how does this look for me, is land. New construction, bring new construction to the market, whether that means bringing land, lots, new construction, increase the quality and quantity of your touches. That if you did nothing else but decide, I'm going to intentionally increase the quality and quantity of my touches to my database and figure out how I can get that 4% conversion from my database, then that would probably change everything right there. And then in review, the 4 big reasons why we could decline: that BRICS currency that we talked about, student loan debt, forbearance coming up, and low inventory, which just creates more real estate seasonality. And then I guess that's really it. I would say otherwise, if you work with a lot of investors, Gary Keller did talk about that like really with investors, a good deal is always a good deal for the most part, right? If it's a good deal, it's a good deal. So with investors, it's not so much about waiting to buy low, sell high so much, as long as the value is there, right? For the cash flow opportunity. So that's what he said about that. But I've got like 3 minutes. So I will, if you guys have questions, put them in the chat and I'm happy to touch on anything that we missed or questions, comments, anything at all. I hope this is super helpful to you guys. Any questions? You're welcome. You're welcome. I hope it's helpful. I'm going to plan to do this regularly for you towards the end of every month. So it should help everybody to stay on the forefront, stay on the up and up, and feel super empowered when you're talking to your clients and just living in the market for yourself as well. All right, guys. Well, like I said, I'll send these handouts out to you as well so that you can use them. If you have questions one-on-one, reach out to me. And if we haven't already, I'd love to connect and just do a one-on-one with you for 15, 30 minutes if you need it. Talk through anything, answer any questions, and you guys have a great day. I'll see you later. Bye.